Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at Six Strings Nine Lives. Welcome to part 3 of my top 50 heavy metal and hard rock albums of all time. I do apologize for the voice I got going on here. Bit of a cold sinus thing going, making my already fat head look and feel even fatter, put it that way. But I am feeling much better than I was a couple days ago. And I want to thank anybody that's jumped on board and have watched those first 2 videos, part 1 and part 2. These are just 50 of my all-time favorite albums that helped me kind of pave my metal hard rock journey, throughout the years. Those albums with special meaning, maybe a great concert that I saw, an introduction to a band, a time in your life where you just, you really needed music, or you really feel that music was related to that time in your life. If I'm explaining that properly, I'm sure you get it. But so just 10 at a time. This is part 3, so we will do part 4 and 5 next week. I think later on this week, if I can squeeze it in, maybe Sunday, I would like to do an update. There's a couple of great new albums, or one not so great. So we will talk about a couple new releases and some other pickups. Also, this episode, I'm going to lead in with a couple albums, 2 or 3 actually, from 1989 that I literally spun the shit out of. I know them like the back of my hand. And why 1989 is I've been kindly invited back onto the Marty Worm channel to spend some time with Ellen and Marty on another episode of Heavy Metallurgy. And we are going to tackle 1989. I have been lucky enough to be on with these guys a few times. Total blast. We've covered years like, what did we cover? 1986. We covered 1984. We've done a couple ranking videos together. Nothing but a great time. So I'm going to leave a link in the description. Join us if you can. It's 7 p.m. For me here in Canada, which is great. I get an early start on this. 9 p.m. Eastern, and whatever else time it is wherever you are in the world. But if you get a chance, stop by, join us. The chat is always fun. People are chiming in, lots of regulars. Those guys do such a good job. But so today we're just going to continue. I did try, and I said on the other videos that one album per band with this 50. I realized that there is a great second, third, whatever albums from some of these bands that could knock some of these off the list. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to leave it like that. Maybe expand it one day where we start throwing in some second favorites or whatever. But for the purpose of this 50, these are my top, kind of just like I said, help me pave that metal journey, strong memories. But let's get on with this one. And like I said, I'm going to start off with some stuff from 1989 that transitional year in my life too. I was changing jobs and trying different things, and to and from work there's a handful of albums from 89 that my friend and I played daily. A couple I won't show you. Actually, tune in to on Friday night, which is tomorrow, and you'll see a couple more of those 1989 gems. But this is one I will show you, and a very like I said, one of my top albums of all time. This is Faith No More, The Real Thing. This one honestly just caught me at the right time. It was different. It wasn't glam. It wasn't thrash. It was somewhere in the middle with some other elements. It actually has a lot of elements. And love Mike Patton's voice. Awesome. So this is the 3rd album by Faith No More. First with Mike on vocals. And you will hear me say top to bottom, awesome, quite a bit. And, I'm not lying. It is absolutely a great album. It has a cover of War Pigs, which honestly I could do without, but they did a good job. But this one stands alone even without a cover track. From the get-go, from out of nowhere, awesome track. They really incorporated the keyboards in here just perfectly, in my opinion. First video was the song for Epic, which, if you know this album, you were hooked then too, weren't you? Surprise You're Dead, definitely a little bit of a different track. The Real Thing, the title track, love that song. What else? Underwater Love, another one of my favorites too. So there is Faith No More. I'm a big fan of the next album too, Angel Dust. After that, to be honest, I could take it or leave it with Faith No More. I would even go as far as to say their second album with Chuck Mosley, Introduce Yourself, would be a good one for you to try out too. But for the most part, I would just stick with The Real Thing and Angel Dust. So, all right, continuing on, 1989. This was a very unique album. Discovered it through the song Sleeping My Day Away on Canada's Much Music. And pretty much at the time in my life, I was, in between jobs. I think I was on unemployment for a little while in 89. And I was sleeping my day away. That's what it felt like. And so very relatable. This is DAD, which stands for Disneyland After Dark, which they had to shorten their name, legal reasons, obviously. But this is their first international release and one of 2 albums. Their next one after this, called Risking It All. I can't recommend those 2 albums enough. These guys are just, in that hard rock, I don't know, just hard rock vein. But like I said several times, it's all metal to me. But what a great album this was. Very unique. Sleeping My Day Away. If you don't check out any track off this album except that one, you will love it. Rim of Hell, just a great. They throw the best damn parties at the Rim of Hell. And I'm not a singer, by the way, so don't stay for the songs. What else? ZCMI, great track. Overmuch, Lord of the Atlas. Yeah, just awesome. Cool title too. No Fuel Left for the Pilgrims. Check out some DAD if you haven't. They have, they're still going to this day. I think they just put an album a couple of years ago, which I have. But again, a band where if I only owned this one and the next one, Risking It All, that's all I would need. But very important, and it came at the right time in my life. Some DAD. Next up, let's go with, one more from 1989, and then we're going to hold up on the 1989s, and you can tune in Friday if you want to see a lot more from 89, because there is a lot more. But this is another one of those albums that we just spun the heck out of. This was my introduction to this band. At this time in my life, an introduction to this band, I was like, you know what? They finally got me, because their first 4 albums, I was you know what? That is just not my thing. Way too chaotic. Wasn't into it, but have since got into everything from Canada's own Voivod. This is Nothing Face. Just a very great album. Very different. Like I said, this is kind of when, I don't know, they were kind of all over the map, those first few albums. They were definitely lots of thrashy elements. War and Pain was more of a, I don't know, there was some speed metal elements in there, and then you got into Roar, where it was that very chaotic sound, and they kind of lost me a little bit. But this is the one that says, okay, yeah, Voivod is for me. And it was the video for the cover of the Pink Floyd cover for Astronomy Domine, if I am pronouncing that right. Tons of great tracks on here. The Unknown Knows, Nothing Face, the title track. Into My Hypercube, great track too. So Voivod's still going to this day. Rest in peace, Piggy. But yeah, definitely a key 89 album for me, and you might even see this one. Well, I'm sure somebody will show this on Friday, but that is it for the 89s. I don't want to get too crazy on that. So let's continue with, let's do some more Canadian, more stuff from Canada, and I'll grab another drink. All right. Next up, my introduction to Exciter, 1985, Long Live the Loud. I first heard the track Born to Die. And if you know that track, it just, the guitars are so cool at the start, and just I don't know how to describe it, but that's the song that hooked me, to be honest with you. I wasn't really super aware of Heavy Metal Maniac or Violence and Force at the time, but of course backtracked and got those great albums too. But this is a big one for me. Yeah, and Exciter's still going, and they have, probably 12, 13 albums in their discography, lots of lineup changes, things like that. But this one was, this is a metal must-have as far as I'm concerned. Definitely check out some Exciter from Canada if you haven't already. Their first 3 albums are just speed metal, just metal. Great stuff. Check out the tracks. The title track, Long Live the Loud, awesome. Which and also Victims of Sacrifice, Born to Die, like I said, and the last track, Wake Up Screaming, awesome. I definitely would want to get I would like to get this one on vinyl one day. Hope it gets a reissue soon. But yeah, great album from Exciter. And one more from, what do we got? One more from Canada. We're gonna go right into, and if you knew Exciter and Voivod back in the day, you would know this band. Sorry about that. This is the second album from Razor, Evil Invaders. One of those just, I don't know, for me at the time, I was like, I have never heard anything like this, especially with the vocals. Sheepdog McLaren. If you're actually trying to read along with these vocals, when he's singing, it's like, holy shit, man, how does he do this? It is just very fast, but he makes out every word in his own way. But I saw the video for the title track for Evil Invaders, and I was just like, what a cool band. I'm definitely going to get into these guys, and they're still going. They just released their newest album after 27 years? Yeah, Cycle of Contempt. If you haven't checked out that album, go check it out. Honestly, it's no Evil Invaders. You're not going to replicate something like this, or their album that came, this is their second album, or an album like Violent Restitution. Those are absolute thrasher pieces and cemented in, history, whatever you want to say. But definitely check this one out if you haven't. This is actually a recent reissue from whatever year, 2019, on Unidisc. There's also another reissue by another company. I forgot what they're called, but great reissue. Check out a few of my favorite tracks, which the title track, awesome, Evil Invaders. But a couple more of my favorites. Well, let's go with 3. Cross Me Fool, and Iron Hammer, and Cutthroat. Check those ones out. Great album by Razor. And that is it for the stuff from my home country of Canada. And I'm gonna save those ones. We'll save those ones for last, because there's a good story to go with those ones. Next up, I'm into all kinds of 80s metal, hard rock, whatever you want to say, and that's kind of what this video is about. But this is actually not only is it one of my favorite top albums from top 50 albums, it is also my favorite from this band, and that is 1984's Tooth and Nail by Dokken. This one actually has my single most favorite Dokken song on it, which is Into the Fire. But this was a really, I feel like a real step up from their debut. Their debut is made up of, debuts are special because it's, they've spent years making that first album. For most bands, they spend years making that first album. Some make apps never can touch their debut, and some do better. In this case, I felt like they did better than Breaking the Chains. Don't get me wrong, there's some really good songs on Breaking the Chains, But for this one, it's like every song. Without Warning, Tooth and Nail, the title track, heavy track. Just Got Lucky, Don't Close Your Eyes, When Heaven Comes Down. What a great track that is. And the one I mentioned already, Into the Fire, go check that one out if you haven't, or if you don't know this album. Alone Again, or it closes on a song called Turn on the Action. And yeah, great album by Dokken, 1984. For me, Dokken, I'm all about those first four albums. And to be honest, mostly the second, third, and fourth album. Under Lock and Key, and then Back for the Attack, and then this one. That is just the sweet spot for me for Dokken. Always loved that album, and definitely worthy of being on this list. Let's throw a cassette in here, and kind of not exactly in the same lines, but like my friend Metal Mickey said, I don't care what anybody says. This album is fantastic, and I agree with him. That is Poison, Look What the Cat Dragged In. This is my original cassette from '86. You know, I just love that. You know the great like the Talk Dirty to Me stuff. Look What the Cat Dragged In. I Won't Forget You. That great ballad. But my favorite track on here, honestly, is let's go with my favorite, is Cry Tough. I love that song. I don't know, it just got me at the right time. You know, I think I was dating my first real alive girlfriend, put it that way, at the time. And you know, just a special time and a special album too. Love tracks like Number One Bad Boy, love that track too. Want Some, Need Some, just a great album. Tons of great memories with this. Glam, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It is a fantastic listen, and it still is to this day. I don't mind listening to that at all. Definitely something my wife likes too. So what do we got? 3 more left here. Yeah, 3 more. So I will grab a quick drink, keep my throat going here. I think we're doing okay. Like I said, feeling a lot better than I was a couple days ago. So I will try to get that update to you this week too. I got, like I said, yeah, there's one album I really want to tell you about that is really going to be up there for me in 2022. But let's continue with the last 3. This is a huge album for me. This is their 4th album from this band. Never caught my ears until this year of 1987. This is Savatage, Hall of the Mountain King. This is yeah, this is a special album, special time, and with a special guitar player, Chris Oliva, may he rest in peace, gone before his time. Just a special, I've said it before, just a special guitar tone that I don't think anybody else is just quite like him. And yeah, definitely check it out. But what a great album. Starts off with one of my favorite Savatage tracks, 24 Hours Ago, Beyond the Doors of the Dark, Legions, great track, Strange Wings, and then the title track, Hall of the Mountain King, with that, you know, cool video. With you might know the video, but go check out the video for Hall of the Mountain King. The Price You Pay, really good track. White Witch, one of my favorites. And then the last track, Devastation. Top to bottom, this is one of those, yeah. And not really, it's not a thrash album. It's a US power metal. You know, there's touches of thrash here and there. There is with a lot of the US power metal, but this was a band for me that was really kind of at the time hard to categorize. I kind of threw them in with bands like Lizzie Borden, Omen, maybe Agent Steel to a certain extent, but they were even a little more power metal. But yeah, special band, special album for me for sure. Hall of the Mountain King. If you haven't checked out Savatage, that is one that I would highly recommend to you checking out. And today we're going to wrap up with, and I'll make sure I got everything here too. Today we're going to wrap up with a game-changing concert for me. I've shown this ticket stub in several of my videos, and I got to see a show that was I think one of two game-changing concerts. My first real metal show that was of any degree was I got to see Judas Priest in 1984 on the Defenders of the Faith tour, which I showed in one of these videos with the opening band. I won't give too much away in case you want to watch that episode, but here is my ticket stub from Metallica. I got to see them on the Master of Puppets tour, December 15th, 1986. $15.50. That was the ticket price. You know what? You couldn't even buy a beer. Well, maybe you could buy one beer at one of these shows for that price. Can you believe that? So that was, you know, many years ago, but that was my first thrash show of any type at that time, and a game-changing album for me. And I've done a Metallica ranking. This is actually not my favorite Metallica album, but it is one of my top 50 for sure. That is Master of Puppets. Just at the time, again, never heard anything like it. And you all know this album. I do not have to go over this too much. And probably a real game changer for a lot of you guys out there that are around my age, and or maybe even younger, older. It doesn't matter. This was just a unique album, and they only went you know, up from there and then leveled off or whatever. But you know, me personally, I could just live with the first 4 Metallica albums. You could probably throw the Black Album in there too. I'm okay with that. You know, I know that was a introduction to you know, a lot of a little bit younger than me, maybe early 40s type of age group that really got into the Black Album and their introduction. But this one, yeah, what a special show. At the time, you know, Cliff had only been passed away for a few months. We got to we got there early. We saw the bus pull up with Metallica. At the time, we didn't even know the new bass player, who, you know, we didn't know that it was Jason Newsted. We only, you know, that you didn't have the internet and all this information that travels so fast. I mean, everything you need now is boom, it's there. But yeah, we were so excited, saw the bus pull up, saw the guys get off, all that. So cool. And another cool part of that show was the opening band, which I didn't know anything about at that time, but that is Metal Church. And here's another super special album to me. This is Metal Church The Dark. You know, people argue, is this thrash? You know, it's, to me, I'll always say that the first 2 Metal Church albums do have thrash elements for sure. They're heavy, they're metal, whether they borderline more on the US power metal, whatever, doesn't matter. It's a great album. Top to bottom, I love this album, always have. And from my favorite track, which is Start the Fire, awesome. Watch the Children Pray, another great song. The title track, The Dark, absolutely superb. Just love the lyrics, all that. Couple of deeper tracks that I love. Burial at Sea, that has always been one of my favorite tracks. And of course, the opening track, Ton of Bricks. This is just a brand new recent reissue, which I will talk a little bit more on my next update. I just finally got this. It's been on my vinyl want list forever, but yeah, great album. And yeah, I hope you check some of these out. You probably know a lot of these, especially, you know, guys and girls that are in and around my age, maybe some of the same memories that I have of these albums. And hope to hear from you in the comments. Got a lot of great comments. Like I said, I read them all, and yeah, just enjoy chatting with you guys. Don't forget to stop by tomorrow night if you'd like. I will leave the link over to Marty Worm channel to that episode of Heavy Metallurgy, where we are gonna rip a 1989, a new one, and yeah. So, and I will come back with part 4 and part 5 of this series next week. Hopefully, we'll get it all done. But there's yeah, another good 20 albums on my list that we need to talk about. So until next time, stay heavy.